what the mad thing is about football, yeah? And I said it to these guys already. Like, everyone's talking about Man United's fixture congestion. When you're winning, no one gets tired.
Yeah.
No one gets tired. You know when you get tired? When you lose, and then you're like, fuck. Next game, 3 days. We got City. Then you lose again. And then you're like, in 3 days, then we have to go to Anfield. That's when you get tired. When you go and you beat Barcelona at Old Trafford, you should have beaten Barcelona at the new camp. Then you beat Newcastle at Wembley. You're not tired. All the Man United players, they literally got a plane back from London to Manchester to recover. Rashford posted loads of pictures, and then he's like, all right, cool, next game. This is the mentality. This is the mentality that our team have. This is the mentality our managers have. Like, when you look at Casemiro and and Varane, if you look at the trophy parade, them guys just passed the trophy along. Them man already thinking about the next game. These guys have won 5 Champions Leagues. Like, that trophy was nice for them, but they're like, literally, they passed it to Varane, and he smiled and just passed it over. Like, he's just like, all right, cool, like, next one. Like, this is what my team are monsters.
It's those guys driving the rest of your team. That's what you've got to have. You've got to have those those players with that mentality of, hey, here's how you prepare for finals. Here's how you prepare when you've won a final and you're moving on to your next game. You know, how are you going from the high to, not the low, but how are you going from the high to just another game? But they'll be in that dressing room. Even when you look at players like Eriksen, vastly experienced, Varane, Casemiro, these players are experienced footballers that will have the ear of the rest of the squad. And that's why those 2 signings, all right, they weren't in the same year, but those 2 signings, one after the other in consecutive years.
Yeah.
Just fantastic,
But this is what we needed. And Ten Hag said it himself. And I tell you guys about this, and people thought I was disrespecting him at the time, and now you lot need to understand. Sir Alex Ferguson, a lot of his success came down to the players that he had. And everyone talks about him being an amazing manager, which he was. But if I had to choose between a great coach with good players, do you know what I mean? Or great players with a great manager.
Yeah.
I'm choosing the manager, because you don't have to be a great coach, to win titles, bro. If you know how to speak to players and get the best out of the players you have, you don't have to be an amazing coach. You guys had Harry Redknapp. He's arguably the best manager that you guys had. You weren't a great coach, but everyone wanted to play for him. Everyone was happy when they were playing for Harry Redknapp. That's some of the best football you've seen at your club. And this guy weren't no coach. He was just giving everyone hugs, and everyone wanted to play for him. Do you know what I mean?
He was a man manager, wasn't he? He was a man manager.
Well, exactly. And man managers like Carlo Ancelotti, like Sir Alex Ferguson, when it comes down to it, if you give these guys good players that can coach themselves, you're laughing. You're absolutely laughing.
They always used to say that when Redknapp was at Spurs, like, training was like 5-a-side. Like, it wasn't like what you can imagine more from a Poch or a Conte point of view from Spurs or from Jose. You can imagine it all being very tactical. Everything you work on is shape and how to be hard to beat. Whereas Redknapp, you can imagine being a pat on the bum. Go on, just Aaron Lennon. Go and beat your man.
100%. Like, I've spoken to like ex-pros in it, and I'm not going to say the names or whatever, but example, remember when Leeds were popping?
Yeah.
With
Under
the Qs
O'Leary.
and exactly.
Yeah.
This, that, and the other. You already said the manager's name, so it is what it is. I ain't gonna tell you what players told me, bro. He was doing 5-a-sides in training, bruv. He wasn't even really coaching like that.
Sure.
He was just like, you lot go out there, have fun, little 5-a-side games and that. They were going out and smoking people. Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't tactical brilliance. Everyone was just happy. You know what I mean? And that's literally what it is. When you look at Carlo Ancelotti, and when you look at what Ten Hag said as well, he said Lissandro, Casemiro, and Varane, these guys are coaching players on the pitch. He's not doing that, bro. He's an amazing coach, but he understands that he needs certain players on the pitch, because as a manager, there's certain things that you can't control from the side. You cannot control it. So you need players with the right temperament. You need players to be able to carry out what you want them to do on the pitch. As a manager, a player that's going to do exactly what you tell them is worth so much to you. so much to you. I don't care how good you are. If you can't follow instructions and you're not coachable as a player, you are a liability to the team. And I've experienced it in futsal. I've experienced it in football as well, where I've coached 11-a-side teams, and I've got players that are more talented than other players, but I don't trust them. You know, like that. So they don't play. Like, and that's literally what it is. I mean, you look at Carlo Ancelotti, yeah, there'll be a picture out there, yeah. I think it was against Manchester City. Carlo Ancelotti was standing there with Marcelo and I think Rodrigo and someone else. And he was talking to the players saying, yo, what should we do? Like, it wasn't a thing where Carlo was like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking do X, Y, Z. He was sitting it was Tony Cruz as well. They was talking in the dugout in a little circle, deciding what they were gonna do. Carlo was just like, listen, he speaks to the players. Look at that. Marcelo, Rodriguez, Tony Cruz, bruv, they changed the game and won the fucking game. And the players changed the game. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't him. Do you know what I mean? And that's exactly what it is. You've got to understand, the best managers in the game understand that you're nothing without your players. So if your players are not happy, I don't care how fucking many things you draw on the diagram, bruv, they're not listening to you. If you can't get your players to carry out what's on this board, it's useless.
Yeah. Do you know what? And this is the thing, right? If you look at arguably one of the greatest coaches of the last 20 years in Pep Guardiola turned around and said last year in that interview, he said, oh, so-and-so has said you're the best coach in the world. And he turned around and he said, no, I've got great players. Like, I've got great players that want to play and want to win. He said it makes the job very easy. And I think that's true of anyone. You get some managers that are tactical, like a Pep. You get other managers, like you said, that are man managers that are, right, I've got the players, go out there and play. Let's not make this too complicated. And I think we've talked about this before. I feel like so many managers now are trying to be overly clever with what they do. You know, trying to create new ways of playing when football, let's be honest, Rants, is a really simple concept, right?
But that's Pep right now.
Yeah. Do you know what I said to you at the beginning of the season, though? For me, when I watch Pep at the moment, I honestly feel like the man needs a new challenge, because it's almost like I've won, all right, not the Champions League, but I've won the Premier League 4 out of 5 years. Now it feels like he's trying to create new ways to win it that's different from the year before. Do you know what I mean? Where in theory, when you watch Man City at their best, it's when they go back to that tried and tested Diaz, Laporte, Walker, and now Ake, Rodri, De Bruyne, Gundogan. Do you know what I mean? But
we can pick the team. We can pick it. And we're not even City fans because we know what works.
Yeah.